Beáta, welcome to the Tourism Matters podcast. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here.
All the way from Switzerland. This is very exciting. I love that this podcast just gives me an excuse to talk to people from all over the world. It's one of my favorite things. Before we get into conversation, I'm going to ask you a couple of quick get to know you questions so my listeners and I can get to know you a little bit better. So tell me, when you're flying, aisle seat, middle seat, or window seat, where are you headed?
Definitely aisle. I cannot do anything else.
Because
I need this, freedom, what I feel that the corridor is. And then, the moment I know that maybe it's too much information, but when I cannot go to the bathroom immediately, then I have to go to the bathroom, and the aisle is the safe spot for that.
That is so true. As soon as you know that you can't go, it's like you can't think of anything else. Yeah, that's so true.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for being so open and honest.
Sure.
And tell me, so you've landed on your holiday and you're at the hotel buffet breakfast. What's going on your plate or in your bowl? Where are you headed?
There.
Yeah. All right. I like it.
To be honest, I have quite strange eating habits. So that means, well, if I see something that I don't have at home, I have to try it. My fridge is normally quite empty. So that means when I'm at a hotel buffet, that means I have to try everything. So, especially in a country where I've never been before, I'm just curious to pick things. And even if I know the food item, I just want to try and taste how that particular country or hotel is preparing that. So I'm a curious person to be able to.
A bit of everything. All right. I like it. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you. I feel like I definitely know you a little bit better now. Maybe a lot better. So I'd like to go back to young Beáta and tell me about where you grew up, what you were like in school, and, what you studied when you finished school, if you studied.
Yes, thank you. So I am originally from a small Central Eastern European country, although I live in Switzerland at the moment, and I am from a very, very small family, actually, from a small town. A lot of the time after school, we were really a lot outdoors, because that was the thing to do when I grew up and where I grew up. So my thing was really focused around nature and just being free outside. Both of my parents were working all day long, very, very difficult jobs, physical jobs. So my sister and I, we were just left alone, running around the house block. So that was really, really something that impacted my childhood, I believe. Bringing a small town, a lot of time outdoors, spending outdoors with my sister.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is where I also started my studies, and my childhood dream started with being in nature or doing something with nature and in nature. Also, we at that time we had very limited resources, so we are talking about the 80s in Central Eastern Europe. That's historically, I believe, it's a very, very interesting times in a small Central Eastern European country that is actually Hungary. I'm originally from
Hungary. Thank you. I was going to ask. Yeah. Okay.
And that meant that there was not too many opportunities to do things in a small town, traveling, not even for neighboring towns or studies were quite limited, or what we had information and education access to was very limited. So imagine, growing up, your parents, if you are lucky, are able to buy a piece of banana or orange for you for Christmas, so that gives quite an interesting value set to start with as a kid, that you don't have access to everything and anything all the time. So I think that also allowed us to kind of explore what is there, and nature was always there for me and my sister. But this was also time, when you have some limitation that makes you curious, I believe, as a child, that you want to know about what is beyond, the limits of what you cannot access every day. What is there? So actually, a good friend of mine from the first school, primary school, we were at the age of 7 or 8. She just reminded me that I remember back when we were sitting in the courtyard, little girls, and you were telling me that you were gonna travel the world and show people the world and talk about the world. We had no idea what the world was in that time and place, but she just reminded me that at that age I was already talking about that I didn't even remember, but it actually took some time till I got there. So I really started to pursue my dreams with nature and especially animals. I really wanted to work with animals. I wanted to understand their behavior and I wanted to take care of them. I wanted to be around animals. So this is how I started. And very, very few people know actually that one of my first jobs in my career was at an animal clinic. So for a few years, I was an assistant to the doctors, to the vets, doing
Oh,
treatments, operations, taking care of animals. And I just love to be around cats and dogs and any sort of pets. And that time we still went out to see and treat cows and sheep and
wow.
sometimes even the local zoo, some exotic animals. So that was really the focus on man in my childhood and my career started there
Wow.
with
In Hungary?
animals. In Hungary. Yes, correct.
So did you study when you finished school? Some kind of animal science or?
Yes, so I started to learn more about animal health and husbandry and farming, actually. And I was really, really curious to know more about animal behavior. I really wanted to be an ethologist to observe animals and learn about them. But somehow that just didn't work out when I started to work at the animal hospital. So I really focused on hands-on work with animals and how to take care of them. So that's what I studied. That is actually my university degree.
Well, yeah.
Animal husbandry and farm engineering and a focus on the health
Wow.
side of things. But I also, while I was working at the animal hospital, I actually started to study already some uh, um, parts of tourism. I did a tourism management course and also tour guide training and certified with my license in Hungary. But I also a little bit stuck and I didn't know how that was going to go. And I couldn't picture my entire life, growing older doing that. So
Right.
I kind of looked, what should I do? And I still, didn't have much opportunity to travel. And I thought that maybe if I study something about travel and tourism, that would eventually give me opportunities to see the world a little bit, or at least the neighboring countries. So
Yeah.
parallel to that job, I already started to do some tourism management training and the tour guide certification. And I just didn't know where I was going to land, but at least I had different education and background. This is
So I guess it sounds like sort of driven by a desire to travel. Just yeah, not that you had a particular job that you wanted to do within the tourism industry, but more this might be a ticket to me exploring the world a bit more. Am I getting that right?
correct,
Yeah,
correct. I didn't have a job,
yeah.
but I somehow had this little voice or something telling me that I should look into other directions and what that direction could be, while
Mm,
tourism to open up the world. And it was maybe partially really conscious that maybe that gives me the opportunity to get out from the small town and small country lifestyle or whatever comes with that. But on the other hand, I really enjoyed what I was doing. So it was, a little bit of conscious and unconscious
right.
decision,
Okay. Oh, that's
decisions
interesting.
and path.
Oh, right. Okay. So you finished studying and then somehow land. What's your first job in tourism? What happens?
Yes, actually, I was very, very lucky. I just had a conversation, a very random conversation with a cousin of mine who happened to be a manager of a travel agency. And I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And she was like, well, then I will just call one of my contacts in the tourism world. So she called her contact in Greece, and a few months later, I was going to Greece from this small town, small animal hospital. I was on my way to Greece to the beach to be a local tour guide and a representative to this travel agency without any experience in tourism, but a little bit. So it was really her who put me on this path just from a random family conversation without me asking or without me thinking too much about it, what could come next. And that's how my travel story
Oh my
started.
goodness. Beata, how old would you have been at this time?
23, I believe.
And how did you manage that transition in a new country in an industry you hadn't worked in before?
I think it was shocking, probably. I remember sitting at that time, the travel in Europe with mostly by bus. So you sit 20 hours on a bus to get there, and then I had no idea, how to go through countries. I had a passport, of course, for the job and even before, but we didn't travel, or how to behave around unknown people and bus driver, or what to put in my luggage, what I'm going to do on the beach for 3 months, what do I need? So I think it was quite shocking. And of course, the language barrier as well. Of course, I didn't speak Greek. I spoke a little bit of English. I was a very, very shy person, and I was around animals, right? So it's not that it's a big social experience working with animals for many years, and then suddenly you have to take care of 70 or 100 people and stand in front of them and pretend that you know everything and you are absolutely confident whatever happens, accidents, and you need to do sales pitches about the excursions and introduce the hotels. I had no idea where should I go, to the left or to the right, and I was quite lost, but I had some very good colleagues. I was lucky, very, very fortunate there, who were already a few years in that agency, also from Hungary. And then somehow they guided me around, hey, do this, do that, read this material on the computer, read that. And I think I have a very strong sense of responsibility, and then I want to prove myself. So whatever they told me, I did that. I read that document, that book. I went to this hotel in my free time. I walked around everywhere to get familiar with places. So I think it was a quite challenging and difficult experience.
Yeah.
I was, in a total shock. Oh my God, I have to talk to people. I don't even know what
Wow.
to say, beyond good morning. Okay, and then what's next? But eventually, somehow, it just helps. And it helps to be at the beach in the sun, especially if you are from a country where there is no access to these. So that kind of makes you happy.
I like that you made mention to the fact that you're quite introverted, because it's definitely a stereotype that I don't personally agree with, that you need to have an extroverted personality to work in the tourism industry.
Yeah.
I think that any personality type can work in the tourism industry and even stand up in front of 70 people and talk to them if they need to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, it helped me a lot. As I mentioned, I really feel a lot of responsibility for whatever, and these people trusted me and they didn't know me. And that applies to all the other jobs what I did after. So I actually practiced, I prepared myself and I practiced at midnight in front of the mirror. Okay, this is the text. I wrote down everything. What do I have to say next day if there is this meeting with the guests? And I wrote down everything. I tried to plan. And I practiced it, while everybody was out partying after work or drinking. I went back and then I practiced in front of the mirror. And I remember when I needed to hold the microphone, because I needed to tour guide as well to places I've never been before and with very limited information. And I remember my hands shaking, and I tried to just get through the text, whatever I needed to say, with this little voice that, hello, good morning. But eventually I realized that this is so embarrassing. I need to do something with myself. So I really practiced a lot. I really put the effort in, I need to practice this in front of the mirror, talking to myself and imagining. And eventually when, it just needs a few weeks to practice. And then if you really want it, you will get there. And I started to get some good feedback from people that maybe I don't talk all the time, but exactly that's what they wanted. And my intonation, I learned that how to talk to people with my voice, how to express different things with my voice, even if what I'm saying is maybe not at the beginning the most complex things, but somehow these little tricks help me to connect better. And the more good feedback you get, you get a little confidence, and then you go.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. I could stick on this for a long time, but we'll move on. So how long did you do that for? Or expect it probably helped you really grow as a person as well, having that very challenging, from what it sounds like, experience that you obviously just, really grabbed a hold of and made your own. How long were you in that role for?
So it was a seasonal job, and I did 2 seasons, I believe.
Okay.
So after the season, I went back home, and then the next season I was down again. And after that, I found a job in Budapest in a tour operator agency. So I thought that maybe I tried to move a little bit. It was a great start to get out from the country and do something completely different. And I believe it was life-changing. I don't know where I would be, although I did something what I really enjoyed and I wanted. But for me, it truly changed my life and the entire trajectory of my life and career and how I looked at life and my opportunities and whatever happened to me after. And then I started to work in a tour operator company, and that actually I was really, really fortunate to land there. It was a smaller company, but they were organizing and running tours, very complex cultural trips to all over the world. So there I really had, after this first initial tour guiding job at one place and in one country, I really had the opportunity to learn about other countries and start to learn, the tricks and all the angles of tour operation, how to put together a 3 months long or a 2 weeks long complex cultural trip on another continent, right? If say Central America, guests were traveling there for 6 weeks, what to do there, and for the visas and buses and arrangements and flights. So I really then the world opened up for me and I learned so much there. What a lot of people still don't learn, how you start to think strategically what people have to do if you want to take them through an entire continent in a certain amount of time and what experiences to put there, the visas, the hotels, all the different payment systems and the flights and everything. So I am really, really grateful for that agency as well. That's who just, hired me with this minimal few years in Greece and they didn't know me. I didn't know them. So it was, absolutely, I applied for the job and somehow I got in there. And that really put me on this traveling around the world and showing people the world and the beauties of the world.
Were you tour guiding? Were you guiding the tours or what was your role?
I was a product developer. So I started to create these long, complex itineraries and trips for people. And also, in some cases, I was the tour guide as well for my own product, which then allowed me to start to travel to other continents. So in a very short, really a couple of years from the animal clinic, I was on the beach in Greece, and then suddenly I was traveling to other continents. I think age of 24, I was going already to Brazil, which was at that time still quite I think quite a unique thing to do. So.
Wow, that sounds like a very full-on and complex job to walk into.
Yeah, I was really lucky, and I didn't know the agency, and I didn't know anybody, and I'm like, oh, here's the job. Okay, then I just apply and see what happens. And I am really, really grateful for those people. I learned so much from them. This was really something that gave me a holistic view of tour operations and how to put experiences together and consider not just the business side but the guest side as well. How many hours they can potentially sit in a bus, without a break, and where to add the lunch, and what happens if the flights are delayed and the transport and all that. So that was really, really the smallest detail I needed to take care of. And then in some cases, I was able to then see what I put together, if it works or not as a tour guide. So
that's
very
powerful. Then being
industry.
Cursing past Beáta, saying, why did I say
exactly.
that 8-hour bus trip would be okay? This is not okay.
Exactly. So I think this is one of the most important points, what you just mentioned in tourism. If you don't know that experience, if you don't know yourself, you never experience as a person, then how do you imagine what happens with the other people, right? And I think this is something that a lot of agencies forget still. And of course, there's a lot of technology and support with technology. But if you never seen something, how do you sell it?
Wow. Okay. So how long were you in that role for?
I think that was for about 4 years. Then I thought I'm missing the beach. So I went back to Greece. Yes, I went back to Greece for a couple of years, just seasonally. I'm like, I need some more vitamin C,
Wow.
in the
in the same role? Same role you were doing before?
Something similar, yes.
Yeah.
But of course, at that time, my hands were not shaking anymore. And of course, I had way more complex things to say to people. And I also had, I think, more flexibility, to respond to certain situations and have maybe also enjoying myself more because I had more confidence. I knew the place and I knew the job. And then I think that also allows you to look at your own role and what you are doing and the way you're connecting to people a little bit of a different angle, a different way to do things. So I was back on the beach and then I was thinking, okay, what next? I really realized that I like to be on the move. So after a few years, okay, now I have tried this. So what's next? What's next? And it's all personal. We are all different. Some people really like to stay in one spot and really have the routine. And somehow I realized my routine is to do something new, even if it's
disrupting
the same company.
the routine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was thinking, what's next? And I never really thought too much about the cruise industry. And I even had this little, I don't know, maybe a negative perception that whoever is working on ships, there was not always a positive picture about this. And Central or Eastern European countries can only get certain positions, maybe housekeeping or restaurant, and that was not appealing to me. This is not my direction, but the whole shipping and cruise industry was popping up. It was quite popular, of course, booming for a lot of countries in Central and Eastern Europe to try to find financial and travel opportunities. So for a lot of people, this was sort of a way to see the world and get a little bit different level of income and start to build a different life.
Okay.
And it was really booming. So it was popping up from different channels. And I was like, ship, and I don't want to be on this big thing. And I get seasick even, I'm like, on it, this is not for me. So I was just searching. Then eventually I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply for a receptionist role through a recruiting agency. There was a lot of recruiting agencies all over. It was really booming. It was really the time to find new workforce for the ships. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply and let's see. They're never going to answer. And then I got a call very, very fast that, hey, actually, we know that you applied for a reception position, but one of the cruise lines would like to talk to you because of your tour guiding and tour operations background to hire you for a shore excursion position. Would you be interested? And I said, well, I have no idea what the shore excursion position is, but sure, I can come in for an interview. And the interview went really well. So I learned a little bit more about what shore excursion meant on a cruise ship. And the interview was quite successful. So in a very short time, so I was on a flight to Miami to join my very, very first ship.
Wow.
In a shore excursion position, which was very known.
Beáta, can you just in a sentence or two explain to listeners that might not know what shore excursion is?
Absolutely. So on the cruise ships, there are different departments managing, of course, the guest experience. There is a reception desk, the guest services desk, like in a hotel, of course, taking care of all the hotel operational part and the rooms, and the services are available. And most or some of the cruise lines have a separate team, a separate department, sometimes even a separate desk and area where guests can book tours, what they can do in the certain ports where the ship go. So these tours are organized with the ship or through the ship and local partners, and the guests can purchase their ticket for an experience to do something when they arrive to the port. That could be anything, of course. Cultural sites, beach, party experiences, boat trips, anything. And there is at most cruise lines, there is a team organizing all this. So this is like a tour operations team on board, looking at the experiences and ordering the buses with the local partners, buying the tickets for certain activities, ensuring the safety, and organizing the departure times and the arrival times, and informing the guests about what's happening and what they will experience, and then collecting feedback. So it's really tour guiding and tour operations together, like
okay,
on a land-based experience. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks for that explanation. Right. So off to Miami.
Yeah. After Miami, my 15 years cruise career started with this idea that
Well,
I don't want to work on ships and I get seasick anyway. And okay, apply for a receptionist job and let's see what happens. And then 15 years later, I spent these 15 years in different roles at 3 different cruise lines, actually. So I spent quite a few years on board. I started as an assistant, and then I was promoted to manager, and I was leading the teams there.
mm,
And this cruise experience really allowed me to go almost to all continents, all over the world. So I started in the Caribbean and then West Coast USA. I was down in Australia, South Pacific for almost 2 years. So I really had the opportunity then to start to travel around and meet so many different people and organize and try and see so many different experiences that even sometimes I cannot process. This is thousands of tours and I've seen and experiences I've been on all around the world. And after a few years, well, actually a few 7 years I spent on board. So I really saw that fully what's happening with people. That's a hands-on on the job experience and learning, not a theoretical learning, but every day you go out and you talk to people, you sell things, you organize the bus, you do everything, you get burnt in the sun or you
the
get
hard,
drenched in
the
rain.
hard kind of learning.
Exactly. But then, then you also learn to deal with emergency situations. Of course, there were some very difficult situations I needed to handle as a manager and a lot of itinerary changes, a lot of personal situations with the guests, something. And then it's not a desk job. You are really in the middle of everything that's happening, from the weather, from maybe crime events that happens to the guests, and really a lot. That's the world out there, the people out there, and you are responsible for them, and you need to be able to respond to situations. And the best way to learn that is, of course, when you are there and you are
Yeah.
put in the situation. Well,
Yeah.
there is nobody to ask. You have to find the way forward or manage the situation. So that was really, really something that I would never give up. I mean, that knowledge that came from there. So I think that negative perception that, oh, whoever works on a cruise ship, that something is wrong with those people. Why would they want to be seasick all the time? I think that is an extremely, extreme misrepresentation of the skillful people and
Yeah.
the staff and crew, what you find. And even maybe they don't start like that, but you have to learn so fast. So I think people working on a cruise ship are really something truly special in their professional life and probably in their personal, the way they handle personal situations as well.
Yeah, and I have never worked on a cruise ship, but I have worked with and alongside other people that have worked on cruise ships, and
Mhm.
actually I think all of them in Shorex. And
Okay.
there is a similarity about the personality types that I can't put my finger on, but they are always very capable. And I think you have maybe just revealed something there, and maybe they didn't necessarily start capable.
Yep.
But
Yep.
after having worked on cruise ships, you have no choice but to be capable.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's very interesting. But yeah, everyone that I can think of that I know that's worked on a cruise ship has got a similar kind of personality trait, and that they're, really kind of go-getters and, always appear to be able to solve a problem. Tell me, did you get over your seasickness?
No.
No? Okay.
was that was, quite a challenge. It got a little bit better, but there were unfortunately days when I needed to operate and even manage teams and, run everything with seasickness pills.
Mm,
So that was quite the challenge, but I wanted to be there, so I didn't want to focus on that particular thing. I knew that there would be days when it was going to be difficult for me, and there were some very bad days, especially when a big storm hits, or South Pacific can be really challenging with the weather there. But
mm,
but I pushed through, and it got a little bit better. So it
yeah.
shouldn't be a point where you want to give up everything else, all the other good things that happen because of one condition that is somewhat manageable.
Okay.
So
Well,
I did it. I did it.
yeah, you persevered for 7 years, so, you
Yeah.
must have been enjoying the experience on some level. So after 7 years, you stay obviously with the cruise lines, but you move to a shore-based experience role. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's where, when I landed in Switzerland, I got an opportunity to work for another cruise line in their head office, still developing excursion products and tour products. So we spoke a little bit about what happens on the ship, but actually all that team is supported with most cruise lines. At most cruise lines, there is a shoreside team as well, prepares these experiences that those get sold on the ship. So there is quite a large preparation shoreside with another team. That's another tour operating team who goes, checks out the locations, really starts to create these experiences, find the best partners for the experiences and the tours, and then sets up the operation and
Yeah. Having worked
all the
myself.
logistics.
Yeah, having worked myself for operators that work with cruise ships and also with regional tourism organisation that works heavily with the cruise industry, it is certainly a process for those ShoreX teams to procure suitable product for their guests on port days. So, yeah, that I'm sure that's an interesting office to be in sometimes.
Absolutely. And I really had the opportunity to work out and launch the shore excursion product for the new destinations that particular cruise line was working on. So again, set up something from scratch, what places I haven't been before and maybe experiences I didn't know about, and all the cultural aspect that comes doing business with other countries from completely different perspective now. So I was really, really fortunate to work on large itineraries again, world cruises and really places where that company have not had programs before. So it was
Right.
extremely, extremely fascinating. And then I realized at that point that I really like this, building something up from scratch or from almost zero. So I like this startup mentality a little bit, and creativity, and trying and searching and trying, and you fail sometimes, and then you learn from there, and then you try something else. And it was truly an amazing opportunity for me to see the entire operation from another perspective, and then to really be part of launching new market first products, for a large cruise line. I was there for about 3 years, and then 3 years, and the world stopped for 2 years. That's the time where really, really halted tourism. And then I had some time for myself, like everybody else, to think, maybe take a step back, and think what I want and where I am and where I would like to go after all these years in a very, very fast-paced environment and all around the world. And, not having so many roots, although I never thought that I wanted that, but a lot of thoughts came up, and I think many of us started to look at life maybe a little bit from a different angle and perspectives. And unfortunately, we had quite a long time to do that at that time. I started to think, if I don't do tourism, what do I do? And it all started with the personal journey for my own health and well-being. And after so many years, being on the road and always in different time zones and in very stressful, high responsibility positions and areas, I decided to take a little bit better care of myself. So I started to look into the well-being field first for myself. What could help me if I work in such stressful jobs? What can really balance that? Even if I'm on the road, maybe, again. And so I started to get familiar with a lot of different modalities and practices in the well-being field, and stress management and mindfulness. And this is how I started to realize what I need, maybe for my own good, to be better in situations and to be better both in my personal and professional life. So that break in the tourism, in the very, very fast tourism career, that break gave me a new path to start to walk on.
Wow.
But I also knew that I'm not done yet. So after a while, I actually got another opportunity I'm like, okay, I care about myself a little bit more, but there is another opportunity, and that was during this slower time in tourism, where I joined the management team of a new cruise line to actually build up and launch a new luxury cruise line. Still here in Switzerland, with their headquarters in Switzerland. And I thought that this is such an amazing opportunity and next step in my career to not just launch market first experiences and tours, but actually a company. And
Okay.
a brand new brand to put it on the market and bring the ships to the port. So I was really, I believe it was a privilege to be able to join that team and be part of the team. And it was a fascinating experience. Took a few years, of course, to build all this up from the scratch. Imagine there is only the vision of the owner and a few
Wow.
people, and build up the entire brand and then the entire operation, even when there is no ship, and then see how everything builds up with the other departments and with the market and to build up a team and what do you need to actually run a big cruise line from the beginning? Not that you already join one that's already runs for a few years, but what does it mean to actually bring the whole thing alive? So it was a fascinating learning curve for me. And I think for all of us, there is no one person that always knows everything. So you really
Wow.
learn from the situations that pop up and at some points you just don't know what you don't know, and then eventually you figure out. So that gave me a couple of extra years in the tourism and in the cruise industry. What really helped me that company, one of the core concept was about helping guests to slow down and take care of themselves, and the focus of the brand message was self-care and well-being. And by that time, I was already a certified forest and nature therapy guide, a certified yoga nidra, deep relaxation teacher, and embodiment coach. So I really had a lot of trainings and education, and I was already working with groups. Nothing to do with tourism, that was another path that started to emerge for me, and I started to work in that. Bringing this cruise line to the market with such a positioning, with the experiences for guests, also in the ports where the ship went, it really gave me the opportunity to actually bring these two sides together.
Wow.
And then I had the opportunity to bring forest bathing, slow nature connection based activities into the cruise industry in some of the ports where there was, no knowledge or information about this, that this kind of experiences can be part of a land shore excursion program for a cruise line, for such a big company, and how this helps with the positioning of the entire brand, and also giving a different avenue for people to enjoy the ports and do something else.
Wow.
And it was, I think, really for me, a sort of a pinch me moment that, oh my God, really, am I doing these two together now? And really, I can see how what is the potential when we bring these two sides together, and we have maybe the courage to put something out there that is something new for everybody, and let's see what happens and how the guests react to it, how the local partners can find the solutions. And I have to say, it was again a tremendous opportunity to learn and see about our industry, tourism in general, and the cruise industry, but also the other side, the well-being, the health and the wellness industry. And there was a lot of errors, of course, pitfalls, but a lot of best practices as well to collect. So we really managed to create some amazing experiences that never been on the market before. And I hope to believe that it's maybe a little bit because I had already, experience in both fields at that time, and I could somehow bring a different perspective into the entire operational and logistical and creative every side of the business.
That just seems like it was perfectly made for you, Beáta.
Yes. Yes.
But also, this concept has come up again in a couple of podcast conversations I've had, in that an individual's own experiences, be that professional, personal, family, whatever it is, just as a human being, really do allow you, as the years go on, to craft your very own set of eyes and thoughts into the world that no one else potentially can see through that same lens as you. And so, like, for you, it was just a synergy of experience in the cruise industry and experience in well-being and self-care, and, you know, having obtained recent qualifications. And it's that intersection of those two things that's where Beáta sits. I just find this so fascinating that, this is a theme that I've come across in rather a number of conversations. And it kind of just, as you said, like right back to childhood, back to animal husbandry, and all of those things just lay it on and lay it on and lay it on and lay it on, lands you where you are in your very own unique perspective of the world. So I'm loving every minute of the story. This is fascinating.
Yeah, I also think actually, I think back a lot to the times when I was working in this animal clinic, that if I don't have that experience how to take care of other living beings, maybe who we have a completely different set of communication skills, and where we cannot fix everything with words and conversations, and how you have to pay attention what happens with that other living creature. I don't know if I would be successful or even, I think I am quite empathetic in the well-being work, what I do. And I think the roots are there. When I cared for other beings who couldn't tell me what their problem was, and I needed to approach them from a different, in a different way, when you need different tools and not the language, and you need to read the other beings' state and what is happening in the environment. And I think, as you said, it somehow everything built on each other, even if that was not the path I followed, but somehow without that, maybe I wouldn't be here either.
Yeah, I completely, wholeheartedly agree with that notion. All right, so we've started a cruise ship company. Check, we can tick that one off the list.
Exactly that, that doesn't really happen every day, but, not even not every year, not every month. But then we launched the brand. It was very, very successful. It's still very successful. So I congratulate the team to carry on with the mission, but that was really a time again for me. I mean, that was such a big project for years and years. It was really, really, it really had a toll on my life. And then it was like, what should I do? And I knew that there was one continent still where I've never been. And I always wanted to go. I think it's fascinating for probably most of the people on the planet, and that was Antarctica. But I never had the opportunity to go there before on another cruise ship, or in other ways. And it's not like I was thinking about Antarctica all the time, but every now and then, in a few years, it came back. I've never been to Antarctica. I've never been to Antarctica. And when we launched this cruise line, and I realized that I have spent so much time in my career in the cruise industry, and there is so many interesting things still out there, and I really enjoyed my time and appreciate all the learning and the growth that this segment gave me. But I thought that there are so many other amazing things there. And then I just very randomly, there is an opportunity. Oh, I'm going to apply. I got a call. And then a conversation, and then really a couple of months later, I was heading down to Antarctica, not in the cruise industry, but being on the ice and being the manager of one of the most luxurious camps in Antarctica, and maybe one of the most luxurious accommodations or hotel facilities in the entire world, due to its concept and the location. And it was really in the continent on the ice.
Wow.
I got this incredible opportunity just out of nowhere, just by simply scrolling and thinking Sunday afternoon, I should go to Antarctica. I've never been there.
Wow.
Then I spent 2 months there on the ice for a seasonal opportunity, leading this camp, and very tiny team in a very extreme conditions, taking care of everything: the guest experience, the logistics, safety, weather, kitchen, the doctors, everything. So this is a team that has everything, of course, to manage anything that happens there. It's such an isolated and extreme environment that, of course, the company has to be prepared for everything. And then again, I could see, how to manage situations and take care of people, and also how to then design experiences for people in an extreme environment. That was extreme, of course, for me as well. So there is always something new and something to try and learn and get new ideas. And on Antarctica, I had again the possibility to bring a little bit of my well-being background as well. So I organized some experiences tailored to the ice and wind and cold, some experiences for guests that they were quite slow, and connected them to the place, and with some reflections, how they connect to the place and how they find a little bit of calm and peace of mind. Even if it's an extreme environment. And I use my background, in relaxation and forest and nature therapy and this all sensory experiences, and how can we actually put such an experience in the very cold environment or in a very windy environment. So I believe this is the first time in the industry and also in Antarctica that I led these sort of sessions based on my forest or nature therapy sessions in forest and at the beaches, now suddenly on the ice and in the wind and in the cold. And it was just incredible to hear what the people said, after 20 minutes. Of course, the weather is extreme, so, it really needs to be safe and properly managed with the conditions for the guests. So these were quite short sessions. But when the people have the opportunity, just simply stop and do nothing and just feel the place where they are with their body, not information, not cognitive knowledge, what we push and share all the time, but just simply give the people the chance just to be there and do nothing, and just guide them to notice the wind and the cold on their skin. And suddenly the cold is not going to be, an enemy or something that is bad for me and I need to just push through. And so suddenly you have a completely different connection to the place and whatever is happening around you, and all the the rocks and the entire continent and the ice, where that ice is coming from, and understanding the journey of the entire continent and putting you and your story in that journey, and how to connect that with your body wisdom and with your presence, not just the thinking, but truly experiencing physically where you are and what is happening with you there, and with the nature of that place and the natural landscape. And I think that is just mind-blowing, what happens to people suddenly, no matter their background, family background, business background, financial background. Suddenly we are just a human being with an experience, a connection to nature, to the wind, to the sun, to the ice. And it's just incredible what a very short time, even a few minutes, can do to people, to shift their perspective and understanding their role, maybe, in this beautiful web of life, that how connected everything is, and how their life, and let's say the life of that continent, actually met in this beautiful moment. And this is not something what you can explain to people with words and information about the history of the continent or research and climate and all that. It's something simply, what I realized, just give them a few minutes, gently guide them to a completely different focus that helps to shut out all the noise what we have, and just let them be. Just let them be simply and in their body without thinking too much about what's happening. And it's just fascinating. And I think this experience on Antarctica just, even pushed me forward, that there has to be something more done about this to help people connect to places differently, because that has such an impact on them, and potentially we can really help them to change their life one step at a time, maybe one experience at a time. If it's a full body experience and an embodied presence in that place that connects them.
I could spend a really long time on this, but I shall not. I shall restrain myself. But before we move on, what a unique opportunity we have in this industry to be able to have that impact on people and to be able to
Yeah.
give them experiences like that, and the growth of the nature or connectivity thread in the tourism industry, and that connection to place or connection to a culture, whether that's through food or place or music or conversation. I am here for it. I love this I don't want to call it a trend, but I guess we'll see. But for now, it's what people are yearning when they're traveling.
Yeah,
And we're so lucky to
absolutely.
be able to be the one to provide that experience for them. So I do definitely desperately want to keep talking about Antarctica, but I won't.
Yeah, I think this is a topic that we need to talk more about it. Yeah, definitely, with a lot of different, everybody who is involved in providing services or products or experiences to people, and also the people who are looking for it, and or maybe not even consciously, they don't know yet that what they need. So I think really important to keep the conversation going on different channels.
So does that then lead you to what you're doing now, and just sort of, I guess it seems like really since COVID, these last few years have sort of really instilled in you that desire to want to, let people experience that nature and place and well-being. So is that sort of where we're at now? Okay, so talk to me
Yes,
about what you're doing
exactly.
now.
So after I got back from Antarctica, from launching a big brand, I went straight to that very extreme environment and a lot of, quite overwhelming situations. Physically, I definitely can say mentally and emotionally as well. So I knew that maybe this is the time for me again to a little bit slow down and look what should I do with all this experience and all this different experience, and how can I bring value to people? What is needed? What is missing? And how can I help others? I don't know. Tourism or well-being. At the beginning, I didn't know. So I really needed a little bit of time to to process what I have experienced in my entire career, and and what expertise or knowledge I have that maybe other people can really leverage from. And it has been a personal, process and development. And first I started to just mentor startups and small businesses in a slower scale, and I really needed that slower time as well to put things in a different perspective, or maybe look at things from a different perspective, that how all this what I have done and I have learned in different fields could be brought together. And indeed I realized that maybe in conversations, in conferences, and meeting people in different industry events and in different networking events, I realized that yes, there is a trend, as you said, and maybe this will be growing. People are looking for different ways to travel. Maybe this is just a personal first step for a guest to decide, or for a person to decide, I want to now go and sit on the beach, but do a little bit different, or go on a hike, but do a little bit different, or go to a city, but experience it differently. But I think it's also for tourism, there is a need to change and evolve, not just because of the guest demand, but also because of all the impact what tourism does and brings to the people, to the communities, to nature and the entire planet and all the systems. And I think we do have an enormous opportunity here to do something good that helps the people's health, mental, physical, emotional well-being and balance, but also helps the environment, the other beings, the other, the entire beautiful earth we live on. And I decided that maybe this is exactly where I would like to be, and this is the way I can be part of this innovation or change or trend to help actually both sides. So I realized that it's not enough just to focus on the tourism stakeholders to bring more well-being or more experiences to people, to help them connect to a place better, and learn and become maybe steward or more responsible, or an ambassador and an advocate for a place, or just simply be there and go home with an experience that can change their life, their daily habits, and how they look at their own life every day. I realized that we also need to consider the other part. Who are the experts in this field who can actually bring this knowledge and bring these experiences to tourism? Because it's not necessarily those tour guides and tour providers who've been doing the sightseeing tours and boat trips or museum visits or cooking tours. So there is
Right.
a completely different expertise that is needed to make to bring this new approach to the people and make that successful. So
Mm,
I am at the moment really helping both sides. So the well-being professionals, how to learn about tourism, how to enter the tourism landscape. It's very
right.
complex, and we cannot, how, let's say, a mindfulness teacher would know how to start a business with a cruise line, right? So there is it's an enormous gap. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, this is what I discovered, that there is this big gap and how we can bring the two sides together. And this
Wow.
is where I met, yes, with different trainings and workshops and conversations to bringing these two sides together,
Oh,
well-being and
wow.
tourism.
Have you got any intel or any insights on sort of well-being and tourism? Is there a particular, area of well-being that you're particularly passionate about, or you think really should be featured more in the tourism landscape?
I think the understanding that people's well-being is not separate from the well-being of a place, of nature, or the planet. I think it should be the starting point, that everything is connected. So whatever we do for people's well-being, that will impact the place, and we should focus on impacting that place positively and not exploiting it again. So I think it's a very, very important point. If we start to expand on this uh, uh, product portfolio, let's say, or business segment as a well-being tourism, then the structures and the systems what we used before to build up other product portfolios should not be used. We should really focus on something with this understanding that human well-being is rooted in nature's well-being and the planet's well-being.
Mm,
And I think to start to make people understand it better, it's again with the own personal experience. So I really focus on slow experiences, sensory experiences with nature, because I believe when you understand that you are part of an ecosystem and you are part of a place with the other beings around you, plants and animals, then you understand that whatever you do, that will impact that place, and whatever happens to that place, that will eventually come back to you. So to make people understand this circle, I think we need more experiences where they can truly connect to slowly connect to a place. And forest bathing and similar slow sensory and embodiment-based experiences are truly helpful and beneficial, practical for that. So I really look forward to seeing more of these in offers all around
yeah.
the world in the tourism
Oh,
landscape as well.
yeah. It's so fascinating. It's very, very good work that you're doing, Beata.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I might wrap things up, I think. So, have you got anything else you'd like to say before we sign off today? Any messaging that you'd like to get out there for the audience?
Well, I think stay curious, be curious, and don't be scared, not knowing, from not knowing everything, and things will just fall into place eventually.
Actually, being the key word.
Going after we like and find our passion and find the ways maybe how we can support the world and what we can bring to the world and be passionate about it. Very important. So if anybody is passionate about well-being or how to bring that into the tourism field, I'm really happy to chat.
It's very, very, very much a growing segment of the tourism industry, the wellbeing space, and rightfully so. But I will be sure to link to your LinkedIn and your website in the show notes so people can contact you to have a chat. But thank you so much for being here with me today. This was such an excellent conversation, and it could have gone for so much longer, but I really held back. So thank you, and bravo on what an amazing career and this very unique space that you're in now, that your career has led you to. And I look forward to seeing where that takes you in the future.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Beata. Bye.
Bye-bye.